Hi, I'm Saverio from HoRNet Plugins, and today I'm about to show you our latest plugin, which is called Magnus MK3. It's the third version of our brick wall limiter that also includes a clipper in the package, and it is fundamental to be able to achieve high loudness thanks to the fact that the clipper shaves off the short peaks that audio contains before hitting the limiter. And everything comes in a handy single package. And this new version has an improved algorithm above the older version, and includes a different type of clipping algorithm and different type of limiting algorithm. Also, it provides a handy delta feature that lets you hear in isolation what the plugin is doing to your audio, and the gain compensation feature. When this feature is enabled, the gain is automatically compensated, so you are not being fooled by the loudness being increased by the limiter, and you can judge if what you're doing is actually a good thing or not. It also provides a LAUFS measure to understand if your changes to the audio are going in the right direction of the loudness you want to achieve with your processing. So it has integrated LAUFS reading, the loudness range, and the true peak level. That is always useful to know if you are acting according to the spec you want to respect. It also provides a synced tempo release, so you can sync the release of your limiter to your DAW tempo. If you're working with the audio set to the right tempo, this is very handy because the limiter can work together with the tempo, and you can set the release according to a quarter note, eighth note, whatever. But also, we have a new algorithm that allows the plugin to judge by itself the release time just listening to the audio. It creates a sort of map of the audio and set the right release according to the difference between the peaks and the average level of the audio. This is a nice algorithm that allows you to work much faster and make sure that the release time is correct for the audio you're processing. And there's not much more to say about this overview, so I'll jump directly into the interface of the plugin, and I'll show you what everything it does inside the plugin. So this is Magnus MK3. We have on the left side the limiter, on the clipper, on the right side we have the limiter. Then we have our global section where we can find the gain compensation and the delta feature. And down below here we have the loudness meter that of course can be reset. And the clipper has an oversample, independent oversample, and the limiter has the same independent oversample. So you can, for example, say I want to oversample the limiter up to 16 times, while the limiter I want to keep it low 4 times because it's just enough for my application and I save the CPU cycles. Or you can go up to 16 times on both processors. I suggest you to keep the clipper at highest as possible to limit the aliasing introduced by the algorithm, while for the limiter you can stay at 4 times. I think it's quite fine, but if you want the maximum quality you can go up to 8 times or 16 times. I stick to 4 for this demonstration. Right below here we have the graph. In this graph there are represented the last 10 seconds of audio, so you see the input level and the gain reduction that is being achieved in each moment. I'll show you when the track plays. It's fairly intuitive. The 0 is here because of course we are trying to go above 0, so each peak that crosses this line gets some kind of gain reduction, both in the clipper and the limiter. you have the gain control that you can use to increase the gain, hitting the clipper, so you can, of course, achieve your gain reduction. And then you have up to 5 different clipping algorithms. You have classic digital hard clipper, soft A, soft B, and soft C, or 3 different kind of soft clipper. The soft A is more generally used like the sound of a transistor going into saturation, so it's the one I prefer to use. Then we have a gentle clipper, both B and C are gentler than A. And then we have the tape kind of saturation, that it's the same algorithm found inside our tape plugin, except for the deck emulation, so it only emulates the way that tape saturates. So it has different level of saturation in the highs and less in the low, and also the curve is something different. So it's a nice touch to have. You may want maybe to give more color using the tape algorithm. You will see that it behaves quite different than the other ones. And then in the limiter we have the same gain control that you of course can drag or type the value in. And we have the ceiling, that is the threshold of our limiter. So every signal that goes above the ceiling gets brick wall limited. So if you want to use Magnus MK3, for example, on a drum bass, you don't want to reach negative 0.02 dBs, it's too high as a level. So you can set it, for example, to negative 12, and you can use this or negative 6. Maybe it's a safe level for a drum bass. So you can simply stick the limiter on the drum bass and make sure that no peaks exceed negative 6. Then we have the release time that can be set to whatever you want, up to 500 milliseconds, from 1 to 500 milliseconds. And then you can sync the release time to the DAW tempo. Say I want to sync it to 1/4 note, and goes automatically to that tempo. But for this demonstration, I will enable the auto release that listens to the audio and changes the release time accordingly. We also have 5 different limiter algorithms. We have simple, that it's the simpler limiter that you can do. It's just an envelope follower, and when the envelope crosses the ceiling, it gets drastically reduced, and that's it. Then we have the original Magnus MK1 algorithm, that it's an algorithm similar to the simpler, but a little bit more sophisticated, because we have different envelope follower that goes in parallel, one for the short peaks, the other one for the more sustained sound, so you can get a higher loudness than with the simple. Then we have the MK2 algorithm, that is the previous version of Magnus, and it's similar to the MK1, but it's a 3-stage envelope. So you have a very fast one that catches the peaks, then you have a medium one and a longer one for sustained sound. And then we have these 2 new algorithms. Transparent, trans is for transparent, because it's the algorithm that introduces less harmonic distortion in the process. It's completely clean, and it works a little bit more than the other, so you have to experiment. It gives a different sound. It's cleaner, but maybe it's not what you want. You can get maybe louder results with MK2, but this is something to have if you want a clean sound. And also we have the analog one that has a short attack time. It's not instantaneous. It has a soft knee, and it also is not a brick wall. It's a very high limiter, but it's not completely brick wall. So it's more, it's better maybe for some bass or instruments, single instruments. So for this demonstration, I'll stick to the MK2 algorithm, so I can show you how it works. Now, I put my headphones on and I'll try to take this song over here and bring it to louder level.
Che non c'è coraggio, che non c'è un messaggio, Italian con un montaggio, politica all'arrembaggio, far fuori classe ma non sei baggio, abituati al peggio, abbiamo il cervello a noleggio, toccherà mettere pure su sta nazione. Con la gara, dillo, presidente, sto paese, non apre niente, dillo, presidente, sta manovra ci mette alle strette, dillo, presidente, che l'Europa non è un continente, sembra Catalan, per le banche con la gara, dillo, presidente, dillo, presidente.
So this is just a quick demo, and you see in the graph that shows the gain reduction and the input level on both the clipper and the limiter. I'm making the clipper work a little bit more than the limiter in this case, and I got for the moment -6 the UFS, and I have the auto release set to 382 milliseconds, and now I want to make you hear what the delta and the gain compensation does. So I'll disable the limiter and I'll let you hear the clipper, what the clipper does, and also then enable the limiter and see how the limiter works together with the clipper using the delta function. So you can hear that using the delta function, I've been able to find that I'm using too much clipper, because it's clearly audible in the delta function. So I'll maybe try to lower the gain or use a different clipping algorithm. You can see that the tape algorithm works much more on the transients, because that's what tape is supposed to do, to shave off the short peaks in the transient of the audio. So maybe try to use the tape algorithm. I had to lower the level, the input level, because it was working too much. Maybe this is the right one to use. Can you hear? Let you hear once again. Using this delta function, it's perfectly easy to cut off only the short peaks that are going to eat all our headroom, and does not allows us to reach high loudness. If I now disable the delta function, you can see that we got pretty high loudness. And we are clean. I can also enable the gain compensation to hear what the plugin what the track sounds when the output is the same level as the input, so I can bypass the plugin and see what happens. So this is a handy feature too, because you can hear that we are squashing just the transients. The kick and the snare are being reduced, and we have a little bit of compression going on. We can hear a little pumping, but it's perfectly fine in this application. And this is it. I can try to change the algorithm for the limiter to the new transparent one and see what happens. You see, to reach almost the same output level, I had to give more gain to the limiter because this algorithm works differently from the MK2 one. It's much less noisy, it's cleaner, but it needs more gain to get the same level and maybe compress a little more, but maybe it's what you want. It's good to have options. So you can try it out and find out what works best for you. So this is just a quick overview of Magnus MK3. It's our latest plugin, and it's available for download now on www.hornetplugins.com. You can go there. We have a demo, so you can try it out. And if you like it, it's just very cheap, as every plugin we make. So there is also an upgrade path for the owners of the MK2 and our free Magnus Lite. So just go to our website to discover everything. Thank you very much for watching this video.